Ladies and gentlemen, I have kept you waiting for far too long. It is time for more One Piece. Let's go ahead and get started. Yo, peoples, Qushu 92 here. Welcome back to more One Piece. Church took a little bit longer than I was expecting. It carried on a lot longer than I was expecting, but I'm grateful I managed to get here in a decent amount of time. Mind you, there's so many people here. Like, there were so many people here. In Kratos, we got Kohagen, we got Ozzy, we got CDs, we got Flip, we got Anime Juke, we got everyone. It is time. It is time. Sorry to keep you waiting. Let's see what happens in chapter 1186. I got a busy day today. Far busier because not only do I have One Piece Sakamoto Days, but Hunter x Hunter has officially returned. And seeing as how the next chapter pops up in the next 7 days, that means Hunter x Hunter chapters will be dropping on Sunday. So I gotta cover that too. I gotta cover that too today. I was not thinking that Hunter x Hunter was gonna be dropping on a Sunday. Maybe like an off day, like maybe Monday or a Tuesday. But no, that sucker's dropping today. Drop today. So I'm gonna be busy. Y'all pray my strength in the Lord. I got so much to do, including reacting to the newest episode of One Piece, and then then the series goes on break because we're seasonal now. So much to cover. Let us begin. Because last we left out on, we saw basically the downfall of the Esperia Kingdom, the death of Candel to this mysterious poison fog that basically ruined the entire infrastructure for everyone in Esperia and took the lives of so many people, including Queen Candel. But also, we also have basically Esperia going to war. What is that? Hold on. Huh. Interesting. But we also have basically the kingdom of Esperia coming under attack by the world government simply because they lost the means to provide heavenly tributes to the celestial dragons in order to remain affiliated. So Reuven was all like, I'm not sending you slaves in order to compensate for the loss of tribute. Let's throw hands. And so the world government throws hands with them. And Brook is just showcasing how deadly he is. Like, the dude is running through the streets at high speed, slashing everyone from the world government, sorry. And then he goes to run up to the king, to basically the palace, and finds Reuven dead, some unknown individual sitting behind, wow, I almost blanked on her name, sitting behind Shuri, and Shuri having horns and wings with blood on her face and blood on her sword directly in front of her father, and a very Itsunade-looking shadow in the room itself. Let's see what happens in chapter 1186 one more time. And we have reader requests. Loki secretly drawing a picture of Ida, and Ida secretly enjoying it. Well, I think her name is Ida. Drawing a picture of Ida, and Ida secretly enjoying it. Ah, see, this is the reason why Loki genuinely loved Ida. And when those brewer villagers poisoned her, oh yeah, he ran them pockets. But we get the world government continuing to attack. And we have the royal guards going, never give up! Our only path to survival is independence! And mind you, they're running up on the world government and they're getting shot. But we have Brook, who's just looking utterly bewildered. As we have this unknown person sitting in the background, still smoking. We have Shuri, who's just staring, clearly under some sort of mind control, and basically what appears to be Mars in his Itsunade state. And then we get to the next page, and we see Emu coming out of the top of his head. The same way... Hold on. Perfect timing. You can read my lips all day, CDs. You ain't gonna get no private information. The stream doesn't stay buffering. The stream doesn't stay live. If you're looking from like mobile, then it kind of messes up a little bit. I don't know why it does that. Yeah, I don't know why it does that. Sorry about that. Getting back to the story, it was just family. Over here reading my lips. Observation hockey, go! Food. Dogs. No, I watch from PC. Read my lips, you understand nothing! Okay, back to it. We have Mars. We have Mars just sitting up over Reuven, and we have Emu coming out of the top of his head the same way that Emu came out of Saturn during the God Valley incident. But we have Brooke going, "Someone call the medic! His Majesty is in critical condition! Bro! Hang in there, bro. You're going to be okay." And he's already checking on him. And he flips over Reuven, but Reuven's face is covered by speech bubbles. Bro? Are you a fan of mine, old man? Hey, I'm not that old. I guess I'll call you bro instead. And it's young Brooke and young Reuven when we saw them. Bro! And we still don't see his face. Bro! And Emu's just watching. Hey, didn't anyone hear me call for a dart medic? And then someone speaks. And the door slams. The door slams behind Brooke. Emu is literally manipulating the room. This was an inconvenient time for an interruption. And then Shuri speaks. Brooke, that man is already dead. That is not Shuri. That is not Shuri. But Emu is capable of using these abyss flames, these omen flames, to basically manipulate environments. That we just learned that. You there! Who are you? What have you done to Princess Shuri? And the person that's sitting in the back of the room doesn't say anything. I've been watching over this girl since she was a newborn baby. I know she's not capable of this kind of bloodshed. I know everything about the princess. But Brooke, did you know that I was a celestial dragon? Huh? What? Did you know that this man was not my real father? Stop calling him this man. Huh? What are you talking about? You're King Reuven's legitimate daughter and heir, of course. Where's the proof? Proof? You don't need proof between parents and their children. Yes, you do. It would have made a huge difference in my life. I've now wasted 16 years I could have spent as a celestial dragon. Do you understand how angry I am? They demanded 1,000 slaves. Wrong. That was because this wretch refused to hand me over. Don't call him that! He's a terrible king who let his people die for nothing. What? That's why he had to pay the price. If the king dies, the war is over. But if we lose, then this country becomes a lawless wasteland. That doesn't matter to me anymore. And then the man speaks up. He's a man-meyer! He's a man-meyer! And his eyes are basically the same as Gunko's, as we would see later on. I remember you, Candale Squire, the boy with the poofy hair. Knights of God, Saint Manmeyer Guru. Not that you were ever allowed to get close to me. And then Brooke falls backwards after apparently looking in his eyes, just merely looking in his eyes. Your eyes! Normally, I wouldn't come to a backwater like this, just to recover a single measly whelp. But her bipolar irises are an extremely rare trait, and the Great One desires her, and the Great One desires her. The bipolar irises? Bipolar irises? But her bipolar irises are an extremely rare trait, and the Great One desires her. While it may not have awakened for me, perhaps she can. Huh? Awakened? What you mean? Wait, what do you mean awakened? Are we dealing with another individual who has unique eyes like pudding? Like from the three-eyed tribe? We got bipolar irises? What sort of renegade nonsense is this? Perhaps she can. Thou speakest too much, Gudo. Oh, my apologies, Great One. Make it quick, Shuri. And then Gudo walks away. Huh? And then Brook is looking with tears in his eyes. This can't be real. I must be dreaming. And Shuri starts walking towards him. Mind you, her sword is still caked in the blood of Reuven. I must be dreaming. I changed your diapers. I know everything about you, Princess Shuri.
Don't act like I owe you anything. And stop that pathetic sniveling. I want the protection of people stronger than you. And if I get to go to the Holy Land, then I no longer have any need of you.
You were always the perfect little angel. But now, you look more like a devil.
Gavote?
Bro, what do you mean? What do you mean this is Brook's own move she's about to use on him?
Gavote?
I failed to protect my bro, the man who saved my life. And Brook drops his sword. And then Shuri goes in, and as Brook's sword falls to the ground, Shuri stabs him straight through the head.
Gavote Bondavant!
That is literally Brook's move. She stabs him straight through the head. That's how he gets his scar. The very move that we see Brook use is the very thing that gives him the scar he has later on in life. Gavot. Wow. And to think he uses that same move. And to think that move has memories. Serious memories. Gavote Bondavant. And she, like, the sword is going. You see the sword coming out the back. You see the sword coming out of the back of his head. Oh, cows and frogs and slaves and kings, we're all bones when we die. It literally, the song We're All Bones When We Die plays as Brook is being stabbed straight through his head. We're all bones in the end. That's all there is to say. And Brook falls to the ground. And then Shuri walks off with Manmeyer, not Manmeyer, but Manmeyer Gudo. And Brook is just laying there. And then we get the Royal Guards. Yeah, then we get the Royal Guards, who apparently are all hurt badly. They're completely bandaged up. But Brook wakes up in a room with them. Captain! Captain Brook! He's awake!
Oh, it's a miracle!
I've never seen anyone survive with a sword stuck through his head. The sword somehow managed to avoid all the major arteries and your brainstem. Oh, this is a doctor. The sword somehow managed to avoid all the major arteries and your brainstem. So that... And then Brook literally, his speech bubble interrupts the doctor. Where's the king? Oh, I don't know how much you remember, Captain.
Look, we shouldn't tell him too much. It might rattle him.
No, tell me the truth. We lost, Captain. The king's death sealed it. Someone witnessed Princess Shorty being put onto a government ship. And then Brooke is getting... the memories are coming back to him. Many civilians have already fled the country. But what country will take in all those refugees? And he's thinking of Shorty. He's thinking of Reuven. Captain! Oh no, he's bleeding again. Hold on, Captain, stay still! Captain! Captain! And we see Brooke screaming out in anguish as his wound on his head opens up and starts bleeding through the bandages. And then we're back in the present. The flashback is over. The flashback is over. The flashback is over. We're back to the present. Back then, I didn't even know about the existence of devil fruits. I always thought that I had hallucinated what happened. Such was the shock I suffered at seeing my own savior dead on the ground. And mind you, there's still explosions and fighting going on in the background. And the terror I felt at the changed princess, her new demonic visage. If those were not illusions, but real memories. My friends. And then Brooke starts crying. Brooke starts crying right now. Do you think it would be all right if I had faith in Princess Shuri? Just one more time. And Nami and Frankie are tearing up. If she happens to be a victim in all of this. And she remembers back when Shuri gained control again and told him to run.
Run, Brooke.
And mind you, Shuri is still frozen and is still frozen solid in the ice.
Because I'm Papa and Mama's daughter.
And Shuri's just still there. I want to save Princess Shuri! May I ask for your help in achieving this goal? And then Brooke immediately bows before the rest of the Straw Hats, but he forgets what crew he's on. And then Jinbei just cracks his knuckles. Do you really need to ask? Let's hurry up and break that block of ice.
Maybe lightning will help. We'll work on it.
I'll use my radical beam and melt it in one go! And mind you, Frankie is saying this and he's crying and bawling his eyes out. And Usopp is all like, I don't think I should use explosives. What can I do to help? Hey! Wait up, Brooke! And then Brooke just starts running immediately. He's wailing and crying the same way he was wailing and crying after realizing that Laboon was still alive during Thriller Bark. He just starts running full tilt but crying. Cafeteria, Walrus School. I'm all full! That bad news guy is Elbaf's enemy, right? Then that means he's my enemy! I'm overflowing with strength! Right now, I can't see anyone beating me! And it's Luffy! He full, he back to normal, and he took off his Viking boots. He put on his sandals again. And we're back with Loki versus Emu. Quit going after the kids. Your world government folks sure do fight dirty. And then Emu, just floating there, goes, Dost thou not know why? Shall I teach thee? 800 years ago, thy kind suffered defeat in order to save thy children. And then Loki goes, What do you mean 800 years ago? The nature of a race does not change in mere centuries. Simply abduct thy children, and I can control thee at will. And it shows Zaza grabbing all the kids. Thou might not know what is happening to thee. Thou might not know what is happening to thee, but history repeats regardless, as it shows Brogy and Harudin. It is already too late. Thou art my slaves. What is he talking about? You get out! And while Loki is preparing to swing on Emu, Luffy is coming full tilt, and he's got his arm stretched back, and he shocks and surprises Emu with, You get out a veil bath right now! And he punches Emu square in the face. Conqueror's hockey, armament hockeyed, he draws blood from the ruler of the world. Mind you, Emu has been coughing up so much blood being in this state, but this is literally the most official moment where Emu suffers a direct hit from someone and it just straight up draws an enormous amount of blood straight out of his face. To be continued! Joy Boy and Emu are about to square off! Let's go! Okay, yes, and we're not going on break even? We're not going on break even? What you mean? What you mean? Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And this is base Luffy. This isn't even Luffy using any gears. This isn't Luffy using gear 5, 4, 3, or 2. This is just base Luffy hitting Emu in the face with a hockeyed imbued punch. This is base Luffy, and he blitzed Emu. Base Luffy! Luffy ate himself into a new level. His gluttony skill evolved into Beelzebub, and now he's more powerful than ever. Sorry, Emu, but let me see what you guys have said before we Emu punch Emu just like he did Charlos. Yo! Hold on. I need the image of wow, I can't even spell punch. Let me see. Let me see the manga image. It is literally like, it is exactly like that. It is 1-to-1 the panel of Luffy punching Charlos. Complete with dented in face, eyes going white, blood flying out of the nose and mouth. This is literally 1-to-1 Luffy punching Charlos all these years ago. Same hand. Oda. Oh my goodness. Oda. Let me go back. Okay. Let me just go through it. Let me just go through what all you guys have said. You said all the highs came a bit early to the party. Oh, you're fine. You're fine, Kratos. Here's almost 9. I will sleep bad after this cappuccino, but I don't care. If y'all are staying up late, please don't sacrifice your sleeping schedule just to watch me. Please, y'all rest and health is way more important than watching me. Feels like we are again in 2022 in the COVID times. And let's see, it's that time again, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give me 15 minutes. Okay, that was me. Return for the 76th time. Hunter x Hunter. Whoa, yeah, there's a brand new chapter out. Yeah, I love when Qushu's busy. I don't like when I'm busy and I can't get back to this. When the spirit hits you, it can't be helped. To me, this cover request is canon. Oh, it is. Let me see. I was just staring at the cover for like 6 minutes. Thanks to Chad for letting me know that it started. Got me rolling, sweating. Oh, Niraj. Oh, okay. Oh, got you. Okay. That Emu panel peeking is really funny to me. Yeah, just him peeking out of Mars like, Who is this? Who is thine body that has intruded upon my subjugation of this nation? Like, who is this? Not as we'd see her later on, as we always see her. Shuri also has those eyes. I don't know why they're fully empty here. My thinking it is like a Cavendish Hakuba situation. Bipolar is a change of behavior in a usually negative manner. I assume that's what Shuri and Gunko are. So basically a split personality. Gunko serves as a knight of God, while Shuri is a princess, but Gunko's the personality that's currently overriding Shuri at this moment, and it's not until Brook returns that it actually starts to shake some stuff up in her. At least this explains why Brook has a crack in his skull, but how in the world did he survive getting impaled in the head by a sword minus a devil fruit? And in her case, like Cavendish, she'd be awakening her massively powerful altar. I mean, Jarl is still alive with a sword in his head, so I guess he survives this as well. I mean, if Jarl is any example as being able to survive, well, there are many characters in One Piece who have things literally embedded in their skulls that they can't remove. Like Shiki the Golden Lion has an entire half of a ship's steering wheel embedded in his head. And it's been said that if they try to take it out, he'll die. Chief Jarl has a literal sword sticking through his head that has yet to be removed. If he can survive, I'm pretty sure Brook could. Brook be like, you want to know how I got this scar? Well, it was due to the downfall of a kingdom and a nightmarish betrayal. Mm-hmm. So Brook is the first to survive a sword in the head before Chief Jarl. He just didn't leave it in. But was it though? But then again, this was like 80 years ago. I think that's just half of his flashback. Yeah, but I think we're done though. I think we're done with the flashback. We are officially done with the flashback. Because think about it. If we continue with Brook, we would just see him leave in Hesperia and him eventually becoming part of the Rumbar Pirates, which is a story we already know of. So it wouldn't really make much sense for us to stay. Hold on, getting called again. You won't be using observation hockey this time. But going over the Rumbar Pirates story would be a little bit redundant since we know how that story ends. Because we already saw that back in Thriller Bark. We already know about it. So I think it's fine for this chapter to bring us back to the present and, Brook wanting to save Shuri. Finally, we got Luffy versus Emu. He's back. Well, I was a chapter off when I said that Luffy would return. Instead of chapter 1185, it was 1186. Still, you're still close. Good thing it wasn't a long flashback. I'm glad as well. I knew it wasn't going to be a long one because there's no way we're going to have Brook's backstory and then spend so many chapters just dedicated to that and then get back to the present. No, we got far more pressing matters that need to be addressed first. So just cover the most important stuff. Let's see. Yes. Heck yes. Take that, Emu. Just base Luffy with no gear, by the way. Luffy punched Emu just like he did Charlos. I don't know what is happening to the stream. I don't know either because I haven't seen anything buffering on my end, and I got the playback and everything else on PC, obviously, and on my phone as well. So I haven't really seen anything. So I don't know what to tell you. So something I get out of that. Hold on, let me scroll back up. Something I got out of that, out of what Emu said, is that I think Domi Reversi might be triggered when you threaten a familial bond. That's why it didn't work for Loki and Luffy, but yes for the giants and rocks. A god versus a devil, literally. I'm wondering, since Luffy made contact with Emu, what if Nika awakened where it took Joy Boy over Luffy and faced off against Emu? That's not how Zoans actually work. That's not how Zoans work. If you fail to awaken your Devil Fruit power as a Zoan, then it takes you over, as is the case with the Minotaur guards that reside within Impel Down. But if you awaken and you take basically you don't submit to the will of the fruit itself, you still contain your own individuality. Mind you, Luffy still goes into this laughing fit and behaves like Joy Boy, but it's still Luffy in there because he still answers to his crew and he's not just going off doing his own thing as if his crew doesn't matter to him anymore. So it's not going to be like, oh, if Emu comes in contact with the Hito no Mi model Nika, then Nika's going to awaken and take over Luffy. That's not how even mythical Zoans work. So I don't see that being a thing. That frame is exactly he did when I watched the anime. I wonder if they will make the screen white when it's animated. I hope so. I hope so as well, because they did that for Charlos too. They're definitely going to make it better than the Charlos punch. I don't know what is happening to Chrome. Chrome be wonky sometimes. And mind you, I have the relaunch to update thing ready up at the top, so I'll take care of that later. Domi Reversi eyes are usually fully white with no irises, and they also have like a hint of like glowing mist coming off of the eyes too. Example, Rocks, Dory, and Brogy, etc. It could be that instead of split personality, it could just be that instead of a split personality for Shuri and Gunko. Think Chrome is bugs, possibly. We're probably going to get Gunko's side of the backstory sometime later, which I honestly think would be very informative because the side Shuri's time in the Holy Land would be most enlightening when you think about it. Because that would be like chapters dedicated to people to people within Marijois itself. So if we were to ever get Gunko's side of the backstory, that would be interesting. However, we just left a backstory. It's a bit too soon for us to go right back into a backstory again. Because people would be complaining, we just left a backstory in order to go back into another backstory. I don't see us going to another backstory because it would be too soon. There's a time and place for everything. And we still need to see Usopp shine. Meanwhile, he's the only dude saying like, well, everyone wants to help out. What do I need to do? I don't know if explosives will work. Also, completely off topic, so my apologies, but Cyberpunk Edge Runners 2 is confirmed to be releasing this fall, which is awesome. Definitely will be there day one. Again, apologies for the off topic. Don't worry, we already know. Is it good? I haven't watched it. Cyberpunk Edge Runners, the first season, very good. I watched the stream in another client and right in Chrome. So thee finally show thine face. So thou finally shows thine face. Thou, you got to put the thou in there. Joy Boy, Luffy. Who is Joy Boy? I am Monkey D. Luffy, the man who will be king of the pirates. D! Yeah, he getting upset about that. Ooh, this was a good chapter. I'm glad we're in the present day now. There's quite a few questions about Manmeyer Guro. And why? What is it about bipolar irises? No, I ain't trying to get on your grammar. I'm just messing with you. I'm messing with you. But now we have not only the eyes of pudding, which Big Mom wanted to use in order to read the poneglyphs and thus use them as a way to become the next Pirate King, but now we have the very concept of bipolar irises. Now, whether or not they truly have an effect on a person's personality remains to be seen, but that's a new concept now. Very interesting. So let's go ahead and get to the summary. Y'all know I love to read the summaries. Yeah, exactly. No backstory right now, but maybe after Gunko is freed and explaining to Brook, I guess. Also, the implications of Kendall and Guro is nasty. This has happened 2 arcs continuously, by the way. Because if you're talking about Ginny and a celestial dragon, and thus producing Jewelry Bonnie, yeah, it is not okay. All right, let me go ahead and pull up the summary. I hope my voice has been coming through nicely. Business truly is about to pick up. Summary time. Yes. Oh, and this one's a bit of a hefty one too. Brook overcomes the shock from the sight in front of him and immediately runs to Reuven's body, demanding a medic to save him, unwilling to accept that he has perished in front of him as he hopelessly begs him to hold on until then. One of the individuals, who turned out to be Emu possessing Mars, just like I said, I mean, it was pretty obvious. That it was Mars there, closes the door and admits that it was an inconvenient time to be interrupted as Shuri tells Brook that Reuven is gone. Brook gets up and draws his sword at the other individual, demanding to know who he is and what he has done to Shuri, as he wholeheartedly believes she would be incapable of such an action due to knowing her from the day she was born. However, Shuri then tells Brook something that, according to herself, she just found out now, that she herself is the child of a world noble, and that Reuven was not her biological father. Brook refuses to accept this and calls her Reuven's rightful heir, but Shuri states there is no proof she is his, and because of that, she feels she has wasted 16 years of her life living in ignorance of her heritage, which kind of reminds you of how Shamrock was literally looking at Shanks when Shanks mysteriously returned back to Marijois, saying like, how did you wasted all that time being down there in the lower world. Actually, this was Shanks going down there, coming back to Shamrock saying like, I wasted all those years of my life being in the lower world. But he secretly despised every single person over in Marijois. That's what Shanks said to Shamrock when he returned, with his scar, mind you. These are the same words echoed. She has wasted 16 years of her life living in ignorance of her heritage. In addition, Shuri reveals to Brooke that Reuven lied about the slaves the world nobles wanted. They really wanted her, and as such, Shuri condemns Reuven for letting his people die for only one person. And the reason why she killed him to end this fight for good, even though this will mean Esperia will become a lawless wasteland. The other individual, who is revealed to be a knight of God named Manmeyer Guro, speaks up and says he remembers Brooke as Candel's squire, and when Brooke sees Guro's eyes, he sees they are mismatched like Shuri's, revealing him to be her biological father, which causes Brooke to fall back in shock. Guro states he normally would not come all this way to pick up a child, but according to him, bipolar irises are extremely rare and valued by Emu. He also begins to say that he himself was unable to awaken something, but perhaps Shuri can. Though Emu silences him before he can say any more. This Joker always keeping secrets! Guro tells Shuri to make it quick, and she approaches him with her sword. All the while, Brooke begs tearfully that this is not who she truly is. Shuri shuts him up, stating she owes him nothing, and that she no longer needs him, before driving her sword through his head and leaving with Guro. Fortunately, Brooke survived as the sword completely missed his major arteries and brainstem, so the damage was relatively minimal. I don't call getting stabbed through the head minimal. It's your head. Brooke, however, asks his men who found him where Reuven is, and though they were hesitant to tell him, he insisted in knowing the truth, to which they solemnly tell him that they lost and Reuven is dead. They also tell him that they saw Shuri leave on a government ship, and that several citizens have fled the country, but the image of Reuven's death and Shuri's betrayal left him devastated. His story finished, Brooke tells his crew that back then he did not know devil fruits existed, and he was so horrified by what he saw that day he made himself believe it was a hallucination from the shock of it all. But after seeing their own allies being transformed into demons, he has begun to reconsider his memories of that day. As such, Brooke asks his crew if it would be okay to put his faith in Gunko being a victim in everything, and if they can help him save her. Without hesitation, everyone agrees to help him and start brainstorming ways to free Gunko from the ice. But Brooke just takes off before them all. Back with Luffy at the Walrus School, he has finished his feast and regaining his strength, and takes off to rejoin the fight with Loki, who is still struggling against Emu. Loki calls out Emu that he is fighting dirty by taking children hostage, but Emu reveals to Loki that 800 years ago, the giants once lost a battle by saving children, and this is precisely why he chose to target them. What are the odds that the giants were helping Joy Boy? But they became a non-factor as soon as the children were involved during the Great War that basically saw the rise of the world government as a whole. It's just an assumption. We'll talk about it more during the One Piece reflections later this week. The giants once lost a battle by saving children, and this is precisely why he chose to target them. Loki is confused by Emu's words as he continues, explaining that the nature of a race cannot change no matter how much time passes, and once he has all the children in his grasp, he will be able to control the giants as he so pleases. Loki demands to know what Emu is talking about, but Luffy suddenly arrives and punches Emu square in the face, demanding he get out of Elbaf. Last time I checked, the brain is a vital organ. There's nothing minimal about getting stabbed in the head, only if he was grazed and not impaled. But yeah, he's straight up got impaled straight in the head. So for the chapter notes, Brooke's flashback ends. Emu is shown to be present at the throne room possessing Marcus Mars. After Shuri confirms the king's death, Brooke threatens the mysterious man who is revealed to be Manmeyer Guro of the Knights of God and Shuri's biological father, as proven by the fact that they share the same unique eyes. Guro claims the eyes might awaken a specific ability that Emu desires, that Guro did not awaken, but Shuri might, but is stopped by Emu before he can elaborate. Goro orders Shuri to attack Brook, which she does by stabbing his head before the group leaves Brook in the throne room. This attack would end up leaving a permanent scar on his skull, as I said it would in the last chapter that we had. Brook is later woken up bandaged, and after hearing the result of the war, breaks down crying. Brook asks for the Straw Hat's help in freeing Gunko so he can further question her about the incident, knowing about the possibility of the Covenant, which he previously thought was his imagination. In the Walrus School, Luffy regains his strength. The battle between Loki and Imu continues. Loki reverts out of his dragon form. After a taunt from Loki regarding the abduction of the children of Elbaf, Imu claims that the giants lost the fight 800 years ago trying to save children as well, and Luffy joins the fight, punching Imu with a Haki-infused punch and ordering him to leave Elbaf. So that's where we're at. So, we learned that the individual that is there in the throne room is not just some random knight of God. He is actually Shuri's biological father. Because Shuri, even when she was a child, she had those same irises, but neither Kandel nor Reuven had it. Now we know that Kandel was yet another victim of a world noble. And that's all, that's the only way I'm going to describe it too. Because Ginny was a victim of a world noble. And we got Bonnie. Kandel was a victim of a world noble. And we got Shuri. Anyone who is stuck next to a celestial dragon, to a world noble, they're all victims. There is no one who's willing to marry any of these jerks. So anyone who gets forced into marriage with them, they're victims. The Marie Joie list, the Marie Joie files continue to pile up. But wow, okay. So we're done with the flashback. Happy about that. But we're now in the present where the Straw Hats are about to really try and make their move now. We already have Saul and Robin with Biblo in the secret room where all the books are being stored. Imu was facing off against Loki, but now Luffy has regained all his strength. Regained all his strength and punches Imu directly in the face. Hold on. Okay, sorry. I got pinged for something on a different server. So we have the full backstory of Brook. We're done there. We know how he gets his scar. And basically, this moment was so traumatic for him that he basically pushed all of these memories just out of his head because that's how bad it was for him. And now he knows that all of it is real. So now he's thinking, if Shuri is a victim in all of this, I really want to save her now. Remember, this is the same person that said I never wanted to see her again. But after fully realizing that the possibility that Shuri is being forced to do all of this against her will has basically changed Brook's entire opinion about how to go about this. Because remember, in the last chapter, well, in the chapter where Brook started the backstory, we had Jinbei saying, like, what are we doing? Are we killing her or not? Now, Brook says, no, I would like to save her. And so now we got an answer for that question Jinbei put out. But now, we also have the other incident of Manmayer Guro. Whether or not he's still alive is very, very questionable, because we don't know if this man has a covenant that allows him to basically live forever and basically be immortal. We don't know if he's still alive, or if Gunko is basically the only member of the Manmeyer family that is living, well, actually living and filling the role of Manmeyer family member. We don't know anything about Guro other than he has bipolar irises, which Shuri inherited. But apparently, bipolar irises have a special trait that Imu desires. So I have many questions about that. But overall, the fact that Imu says that giants lost lost the battle 800 years ago, which is exactly the same amount of time when Joy Boy was fighting the 20 kingdoms. And he lost that battle as well. So what if ooh, I just had a thought. Seeing as how Joy Boy was cool with everybody, I'm assuming, seeing as how he was a chill with everybody, what if the Giants losing the battle was also the reason why Joy Boy lost? Because remember, Giants back then were just a warrior race. They were just straight hands all day, every day until Harold, 800 years, well, less than 800, like 700 and something years later, until he started to push Elbaf into an age of peace. But during 800 years ago, that's also around the same time that ancient giants used to live as well. So what if the children of these giants were threatened and they lost the fight trying to save them, and thus Joy Boy lost some of the heavy hitters for his entire faction, and that's what led to Joy Boy losing? I mean, there could be plenty of other things that led to Joy Boy losing as well, but what if losing the Giants was literally one of the key factors of that? And that's one of the things that caused Joy Boy to lose and thus give rise to the world government. These are all just major assumptions on my part, and this is just piecemeal info that I'm just using, but it's just a thought. We will definitely bring this conversation up again at the end of this month and just go over what could possibly happen. And this chapter was fire. I think so, because it opened up so many more questions. And you know what? Oda, when he does these, I don't feel like he's posing so many questions is an issue. It's almost eerily similar to how Rox lost because Harold wasn't there to help him. Yeah, that's true. Rox possibly could have survived God Valley if Harold was there to help him. Maybe something similar to how Joy Boy lost. Yeah, but these are just assumptions that, mind you, there are some similarities. So maybe there is a little bit of weight behind them. But until we get more information, and when I say more information, I mean direct, actual facts from the chapters. Because I mean, I hold on to these theories, but until then, I want Oda to tell us that basically what went on. But I feel like we're still a ways away before we actually go 800 years in the past. I know Oda's gonna take us back to the age of Joy Boy. I know he is. Only time will tell if we go back to this age during this arc, though. Which I imagine, what would be the odds of us actually, mind you, maybe, and I actually have to stop myself. I got to stop myself here. Because we had many flashbacks during this arc. We had Harold's flashback. We had Rox's flashback. We had Brooks' flashback. We have 3 flashbacks already. 3 separate flashbacks already. So if we were to go back 800 years dealing with Emu and Joy Boy and everyone, I feel that would be possibly the most amount of flashbacks we've ever seen in an arc, if I'm thinking correctly. It would just be way too much. So maybe Elbaf is not the time for the 800 years ago flashback to happen. Now that I think about it, it might not be time for it. Not yet. But that's where we're at now, and we already got a Joy Boy flashback from Emu once. We could possibly get another one. I don't know where else Oda could fit it in. He's not going to fit it in the final arc with Emu. Who knows? Because we don't know where we're going after Elbaf is done. That's the thing. Where could we possibly be moving towards next after Elbaf? Especially after the major fighting that's happening here in Elbaf. This is way bigger than the 5 elders showing up on Egghead just to stop a message. This is literally the king of the world, Norona Emu himself, showing up to handle business. Where does one even go in terms of stakes after this? But we'll have to see. Well, I will see you guys during reflections. Until next time. Yeah, Ozzy, go ahead, get some rest, because I got to set up for Sakamoto Days and Hunter x Hunter and an episode. So after I get done with everything today, I am just gonna crash and just lay down, because it's really been a long morning, So I can't wait to rest up just a little bit. But this was a very good chapter. I actually enjoyed it because, one, we're done with the flashback. Not that I was trying to rush it, but we're done with it. We got a lot more context as to how Brooke got that scar, and the fact that it was Gavote Bundendavant. Who knew? Can I discuss with you, Q, or are you also ending the stream? We got a little bit of time. Just a little bit of time. But we gained so much context as to how Brooke got his scar, what truly happened during Brooke's past, and what led him down the path that caused him to become a member of the Rumbar Pirates. Everything. We now have context for that. We also have context for who Shuri's actual father is, Manmeyer Guro, which is an extreme, and he has an extremely rare trait of bipolar irises, which apparently has some sort of hidden power. And Gunko has, and basically Shuri has inherited as well, and Imu desires it. There are so many things that Imu desires. Imu desires the giants so that he can wield their their might for the military. Basically, his own brand of mercenaries that he can use however he wants. Imu desires the death of all those who are of the Davy clan and those who have D in their name. Imu desires for the eradication and subjugation of basically every living being on the planet. And it's just crazy how we keep learning more and more and more about Imu. And Imu just keeps letting all these tidbits slip about how the giants lost because they cared for children, and seeing children as the main way to take control of someone. Because who would want to see their children, taken from them and kidnapped and then told, you're going to do this or you will never see your child again? Any parent would turn the world upside down in order to take care of their kids. Any parent would. So for Imu, this is literally just a means to an end. In order for me to do this, I need to take their children. And that's the best way to control someone, is by taking the kids. So it's really messed up. But at the same time, we get a broader aspect of Imu's thought process when it comes to doing certain things. Mind you, we already know that Imu is the very concept of depraved and devoid of any sympathy whatsoever. So it's possible that Fishman Island is being attacked because it's a popular theory that Mosa Mosa is Shirahoshi, so we could be heading there possibly. We don't know, because we don't know if Fishman Island is actually being attacked. We don't know if Fishman Island is being attacked. Sure, there's some links between Mosa being Shirahoshi. I mean, the anime show really does lean in that direction. But we don't know if Fishman Island is currently under threat right now. There's also Vivi's tampering with the newspaper where she added the friend tattoo so we could also meet her. Or that's just her way of saying that Vivi is safe because people are looking for Vivi. Mind you, the Straw Hats don't know that Vivi's missing. So that could be a subtle way of that's Vivi's just subtle way of letting her know that she's safe, because the only way that anyone would know what that cross means on the arm would be someone who was there with Vivi during the whole Alabasta arc. And if that person who is Vivi is somewhere where she's able to, Straw Hats know she's missing though. Oh, right. They know she's missing, but at the same, because it was printed in the very same newspaper. It was printed in the very same newspaper where they all saw the X. They all saw the X. Sorry, I forgot about that. They know she's missing, but they haven't put two and two together. They haven't put two to two together that she's actually safe. She's with Morgan's right now, so they haven't linked those two links yet, not yet. So, but there's still many things that we need to tie up and as far as like expand on and like learn going forward. Now, the reason why I chose not to speak too much about all these chapters that we did is simply because we got reflections that's at the end of the month where we go over these chapters, and that is a stream just specifically dedicated for theory crafting and talking about everything that we learned within the chapters. That's the reason why I'm not going as far into doing this as I normally would. That's the only reason. After Egghead, the older crewmates saw the newspaper, not the original Straw Hats. Yeah, everyone who's new saw it, but not those who know what that mark actually means. And yeah, this was actually when they were sailing towards Elbaf, and it was just Frankie, Brooke, Chopper, Rajimbe, and Robin. No, it was Frankie, Brooke, Jimbei, and Robin on the ship. So all the new people after Alabasta, they don't know. Okay, I got it. Don't know that new here. Sorry. Oh, don't worry. I brought it up earlier, but it was just like very quick, so you might have missed that. But yeah, the 30th is when we will go over all these chapters. That'll be on a Tuesday, so it's not far. And we'll talk about all the chapters that we got within this month. I will say this though. Now that we're done with the flashback and Luffy has his strength again, now it's time for Loki to take a break and time for Luffy to throw them hands. He took them Viking boots off. He needs like full body looseness right now. He's back in his sandals again. He's back in his sandals. He took the boots off. He's back in his sandals, and he's full of food, full of meat, and full of anger towards the very person he says, like, if the enemy of Elbaf is my enemy. Literally saying that bad news guy is Elbaf enemy, right? Then that means he's my enemy. I'm overflowing with strength. Right now, I can't see anyone beating me. Those are some of Luffy's last words in this chapter. Right now, I can't see anyone beating me. And that's when Emu gets punched in the face by Luffy telling him, you get out of Elbaf right now! So, time to see what happens when the Demon King of the world goes up against the Sun God of Liberation. Should be interesting. But that's where I'm going to call it right here, right now, ladies and gentlemen. We will continue with the One Piece reflections on Tuesday before we get started with July. Got to get started with Sakamoto Days, and then after that, we have Hunter x Hunter. And I can't believe I'm going to be reading a brand new Hunter x Hunter chapter when it comes out, the day it comes out. So that'll be fun. But to everyone here, thank you for stopping by. Hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and only if what I did here today was worthy of that. Check out my membership and Patreon, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. And because I know you're coming back anyway. Have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples! All right, I forgot to say, on to Sakamoto Days!